How do I get my hands on that motorcycle that keeps coming up? Good evening. As an architect, it is my job to create and implement dreams. And my dreams are about creating environments that enhance a more pleasurable existence. Tonight, in this wonderful tropical paradise, I want to talk to you about nature. Specifically, man's adversarial and unsustainable relationship with the natural world. I also want to show you an enlightened project that I've done that recalibrates the balance between construction and destruction, something I call recreational architecture. Our ancestors' relationship with nature was more utopian. For thousands of years, we've had a more hostile coexistence. We used to live with the land, but now we recklessly dominate, manipulate, and exploit the natural world. This is our habitat. Getting further and further away from paradise. But thankfully, despite our behavior, paradise still exists. But who knows for how long, as technological advancements facilitate exploitation in the name of progress. Sadly, this is not just science fiction, but a reality that is happening with greater frequency around the world as our society grows exponentially from 7 billion people. It is in our nature to build, innovate, and consume, and it's a beautiful thing and should not be punishable. But if we do not create countermeasures, the future will be less habitable for our species. Nature, while fragile, is highly resilient. We continue to search for paradise. According to Google, paradise is a delightful tropical environment. Growing up in suburban New Jersey, Miami offered the promise of a tropical urban paradise. In fact, it had an industry that was primarily about the creation and sale of a more pleasurable habitat. But curiously enough, the only remaining ecosystem, unenhanced ecosystem, was Simpson Park, a small area in downtown that actually is a hardwood hammock. I had the pleasure to re-inhabit the park by creating a wonderful entry pavilion, one that harmonizes the built form and the natural form. Our architecture is about a love of nature, a respect for nature, where architecture serves to frame, employ, and engage the natural world, the beauties that surround us. The materials we use are sky, water, light, atmosphere, to create environments that hopefully will enhance the existence of all species. In projects in urban areas, we recreate displaced tropical rainforests. And in more remote desert climates, create communities that employ the use of ancient technology, such as cave building and rain harvesting, always with the notion to create the maximum pleasure. Like many architects from Miami and around the world, I was drawn to the incredible, limitless possibilities in the Middle East. With incredible gusto, vigor, technological know-how, the world over there was intoxicating, and it was very hard to not drink the Kool-Aid. Unfortunately, the paradise promised was not necessarily the paradise delivered. We had the unique opportunity in a neighboring country to be able to create our own version of paradise, We were asked to develop the plans for a city for 150,000 people in an area that was recently destroyed by the same dredging machines that created the wonderful shaped islands in Dubai. But our plans were a little bit different. We wanted to actually create an incredible natural habitat, as now that we have the power to do almost anything, this is what we wanted to do. We started with simulations of what nature would do and accelerated the processes of erosion, wind, sand deposition, as well as tide, in the event to create the most optimal habitat for all species. Interestingly enough, the structure of this was the mangrove, something that we're very familiar with here in South Florida. What's fascinating about the mangroves is it has its own ecosystem. So by reconstructing the mangrove, we're able to create the basis for a new habitat. And what was fascinating about this project was where most developments hire biologists to figure out what animals they can evict from the site and what animals they can keep. We hired biologists to figure out what animals ever inhabited this wonderful site we had and how we can create the optimal environment to bring them back. And in doing so, creating the optimal habitat for our species. So it is a little bit selfish, because what we're trying to create is a wonderful new city, a nature city, a city that is in tune with the harmonies of the world, a city that reconsiders the way that we have evolved and built as a civilization, to recreate the optimal natural habitat and set a new way forward for us to evolve as a species. With great power comes great responsibility. And we must learn to appreciate nature before we have to recreate it. Thank you.